As you know, I submitted written testimony outlining our 2011 budget request, which is built around 3 core areas: college and career-ready standards developed not by us, but by states at the local level, supporting and rewarding excellence in the classroom and excellence in educational leadership, and carving out a smarter, more targeted federal role that gives states and districts as much flexibility as possible while ensuring as much accountability as possible. At the same time, we're working with members of this committee and your colleagues in the Senate in a bipartisan way to reauthorize the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, and I'm deeply grateful for your support and for your hard work. As we continue that process, and again, I've loved this sense of bipartisan commitment, there are a couple of themes that are important to me. First of all, focusing much more on growth and gain. How much are students improving each year, year to year? Are we improving graduation rates? That's hugely important. Having high standards, not dumbing down things due to political pressure, but really making sure that our students around the country truly are college and career ready is very important. Making sure there's that flexibility at the local level. We can't begin to, nor do we want to, micromanage 100,000 schools from Washington. The best ideas will always come at the local level, and we want to continue to support that. Fourth, we have to continue to reward excellence. Great teachers, great principals, schools, school districts, states make a huge difference in students' lives. Under the previous law, there are numerous ways to fail, but very few rewards for success. We want to change that. And then finally, for those schools, not the 99% of schools, but that 1% of schools at the bottom, however you want to define it, where things simply aren't working for children, we want to be clear that the status quo can't continue, that we have to get better. I'm happy to take any questions about our 2011 budget request and our broader ESEA reauthorization agenda, but I'd like to use my opening remarks today to talk about our teacher quality agenda. Teachers and principals are the real game changers in education reform. The men and women working in schools and classrooms are making a difference in the lives of children every single day. We must support them, empower them, and invest to strengthen and elevate the teaching profession. Great teachers and principals are absolute heroes, helping students accomplish dreams that the students themselves may have thought unobtainable. That is why our 2011 budget seeks $3.9 billion to improve teacher quality. This is an increase of $350 million, or 10%. Most of that money, $2.5 billion, will be distributed by formula, as it always has been. However, we will push states and districts to invest this formula money more effectively on school-based professional development that provides teachers and leaders with the real support they need to succeed, on evaluation systems that recognize great teachers and give teachers useful real-time feedback on how to improve, and on supporting collaborative work so that teachers can work together and improve their practice. We want more money used to get great teachers and to keep them in high-need schools through better development and mentoring, as well as incentive pay. About $950 million in our budget request will go out competitively to support innovative ways of boosting teacher and principal quality. Folded into this bucket is the Teacher Incentive Fund that districts use for pay-for-performance programs, innovative programs developed at the local level that have both management and union support. Dozens of such programs are operating successfully today in school districts around the country. Lastly, about $400 million will support high-quality preparation programs for teachers and leaders who want to work in high-need schools. We want to get the best from all backgrounds into the classroom, from mid-career professionals to college graduates to military veterans. Getting, and more importantly, keeping great teachers and great principals in high-need schools is also at the heart of our turnaround program, and I want to take a few minutes to walk through that with you. As you know, school improvement grants are funded through the Title I program. The dollars are distributed to states by formula and competed out to districts. Between the Recovery Act and our last 2 budgets, we have $4 billion for turning around our nation's lowest performing schools. This money targets the bottom 5% of schools, roughly 5,000 schools nationwide, including 2,000 high schools that by themselves produce about half of our nation's dropouts. These schools are struggling academically, and the children and the community need better. Under our regulations, districts that want to compete for a share of this $4 billion in turnaround money have 4 options. They can replace the principal, but keep the teachers and improve the school through professional development, strengthening the instructional program, and extended learning time, and other strategies. Districts can close the school and hire a new principal who can hire back up to half of those teachers. Districts can also close the school and reopen under new governance, or they can simply close the school and send children to a better school elsewhere, which is most likely to happen in big districts where enrollment is declining. Turnaround programs are currently underway all across the country, in Charlotte, North Carolina, Delaware, New York, Colorado, Louisiana, Boston, Chicago, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, South Carolina, and Cincinnati. In many cases, they work with existing staff. In others, a high percentage of staff is replaced. We encourage both bold approaches and collaboration among unions, parents, and administrators. Working in low-performing schools is extraordinarily hard work. It takes talented, committed staff willing to do whatever it takes to help those children be successful. You need great leadership, effective supports, and more time for learning. We support all of that. These will always be local decisions, not federal decisions. We can't make these decisions in Washington, and they must be made at the local level. And we encourage adults at the local level to collaborate and work together to do what's best for children. As hard as this work is, it is also critically important, and for all the challenges, I've never been more optimistic. Across this country, Mr. Chairman, we've never had more high-performing, high-poverty schools than we do today. We know what is possible. We have to take to scale what works and make those shining examples not the exception, but the norm. Before we get to questions, I want to make a few points about our budget request. First of all, there's still some confusion about competitive versus formula funding. We are absolutely committed to continuing with formula funding in programs like Title I and IDEA, as well as programs serving English language learners, homeless children, migrant and rural students. Every state faces educational challenges with their special populations, and we would never put those children at risk. At the same time, every state needs to get better, and as Race to the Top has demonstrated, a little bit of competitive funding can eliminate barriers to collaboration and reform. I also want to make a few points about efficiencies in our budget request. We have eliminated earmarks and cut programs that were duplicative or ineffective, saving hundreds of millions of dollars. We've also consolidated a number of programs to reduce red tape for schools and districts seeking grant funds. We want them spending their time not on paperwork and bureaucracy dealing with us, but on working with their students. Looking ahead, we still have money from the Recovery Act to distribute, including through Race to the Top and the Investing in Innovation Fund. We have approximately $11 billion in special education and Title I funding to distribute. We have billions more in Pell Grants, and we have several $billion left in the State Fiscal Stabilization Fund, which will also go out in the months ahead. However, I'm deeply concerned about state funding shortfalls in the upcoming school year, and I'm very hopeful that we can do something to help states avert an education catastrophe that would sacrifice vital education programs. We also need the Senate to consider the proposal that passed the House to eliminate banker subsidies and shift to direct lending, because our early learning and higher education agenda depends on that. There's much more I'd like to talk about, but let me stop there and take your questions.